Welcome, everyone. We are at the Thriving Creative Masterclass. So how to make ripple effects with your creative practice. I have some really amazing content to share with you today. I just wanted to let you know that I'll be sharing some slides, and I'm just going to wait one moment for everyone to get here. So in that moment that we're waiting, I'm going to pull a card for us. Let's see where we're at for today. This is my deck, The Art of Healing and Manifesting, and see what energy is coming in. So this will be a community card. Oh, excellent. That's so cool. We got a crown chakra card, which another crown chakra card right on top, so symbol. And this one's called, has the sacred geometry, the flower of life, and it's called alignment. And so alignment is when your mind, body, and spirit are in balance. Meditation is an excellent tool to find that balance by connecting to source energy. Practice saying soham, which means I am. It will help you relax your thinking mind into just being. So stop, drop, and align, which is perfect because we're going to be going over business tools today, business skills, and being in alignment is part of it. Okay. So we're going to be meeting for about an hour, maybe an hour 15, no matter how many questions that you all have. And yeah, and I'll be giving you some tips. Let me just look at the chat really quick here. If someone has to leave. Oh, I hope you're feeling better. Okay, awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen one more time. Can you guys all hear me okay? Yes, we're good? Okay, beautiful. Okay, let me just make this big for 1 second. And I'm going to move it down. I'm going to go into presentation mode. We're just going to be going over the objective. So make sure you are in the right place, right? If you're like, I'm going to spend an hour here, make sure I'm getting what I came here for. I'm going to be talking about how to find your ideal clients. Okay. Having a creative business is really important. I'm going to talk about how to show up consistently without overwhelm. And I put this one on here yesterday because I feel like this is really important, is money mentality. So this is where I find many of the creatives that I work with is a relationship with money needs a lot of love. Okay. And I know this because I have my own story around this, and I will share it with you in this presentation. Okay. So this actually is, this is what we're going to be going over today. And I'm going to just stop my share again because I want to tell you what my intention is and kind of how I got here to discuss this. Okay. All right. So I have a little board here, and I have art is your superpower. I like to teach and draw and have you create usually, but we're not going to create, so you're just going to listen. And if you have questions, you're welcome to put them in the chat and I'll get to them. I did have some questions that came in before, and I'll be answering those as well. Okay, so here we go. So my name is Leah Guzman. I'm a board certified art therapist and an artist. So I've been an artist all my life. I've been practicing art therapy for 20 years. And what I want to talk about is that what I've noticed is that, we go to school, we learn all these skills, right? So no matter if you're an art therapist here or if you're a creative here, you have certain skills, right? You might have yoga teacher training or Reiki training or some other kind of trainings that you have, right? So we have these skills, we have these tools, which is really amazing. And then like we go to school, but they don't teach us the business component of showing up and being able to sell these skills and these tools that we have, right? So it's like there's this marketing. It's like we want to have a thriving business, right? I'm going to write thriving business here, but we don't know how to get here, right? Or it's like, how do we get to point A to point B? Okay, so I've worked a lot of different art therapy positions with different populations and things like that. And for me, I felt really kind of stuck meaning that like if I work for an organization, I can only make so much money, right? And it's like, well, what if I want to make more money? Where's my room to grow, right? So this is where the past few years, I've gotten really, really serious about my growth and wanting to show up. And so this gap right here, I wanted to like get rid of this gap. I was like, what can I do to move into this thriving business so I feel good about it, right? So I actually created a course called the Thriving Creative Course. And I'll discuss it at the end here, but it's taking all the beautiful tools that I've learned and all the trainings that I have, and then was able to implement, right? Because when I first started out, I was like, oh my God, I just want to make 100,000. How do I do that? How do I get there? And then when I was able to make that, then I was like, well, how can I get to that next level for me, right? So this is where I want you to be able to bridge the gap, learn the skills of how to do that, okay? So if you are here and you are just starting a business and you're like, I have no clue where to start, then this is for you because I can talk to you about that. And if you already have a thriving business, I've worked with art therapists that have a full practice, they have clients, but they want to make more money. They're like, I can only see so many clients. Like, what do I do? How do I get more money? Then they can talk to you also as well. We teach this in the Thriving Creative course about how to create high level, high end programs, how to create memberships so that you can have many different consistent income streams. Okay. So I'm curious. I want to hear from you. I want to know, what are your ideas for your business? Like, are you just starting out? Like, what are your magical tools in your toolbox? What are you offering? Because that's so important, right? What is it that we want to have? So if you could put in the chat, I want to know where you're at, and as like if you're just starting out, or just let me know where you're at. Give you a moment to put that in there. Okay, so we have Ashley starting out second year. She wants a thriving art therapy business. Let's see. But brainstorming, virtual memberships. Okay, something kiddos I can't take on as clients. Been at it for 6 months, part-time, and I want to be full-time without other jobs. Okay, so I want to teach kids how to be creative and do art. Most parents in my life aren't, so they do art with their kids. Okay. Alice says she is starting a private practice, non-for-profit, as an art therapist. Okay. We have Natalie says, just like you mentioned, I'm at a point where I want to get to 100,000 figure and left my job because I couldn't grow further. Yeah. Teaching workshops and launching online membership first year, currently in Stu McLaren's program. Oh, cool. I'm actually going to a training this weekend, and Stu is going to be training me. No, not this weekend, but in 2 weeks. And I'm really excited about meeting with Stu. Okay. I would love to discover how to monetize my art in addition to providing art therapy. Okay, cool. So I want to tell you a little bit about like how I started, so you can kind of see like what has motivated me to get here. And then I'll talk to you more about different opportunities and what the difference between like an art therapist is and an art coach. Okay. Because I've been able to train, or people who have been in my program have been coming from both of those worlds. Right. All right. And okay, so just talking a little bit about, like where I started and like wanting to show up in a different way. So I actually had my own dark night of a soul story where there was a part of me that was totally exhausted, totally burned out from doing my day job, and not knowing like how to get out of just feeling so tired and not knowing how to grow, right? So I got to the point where my anxiety was like super high. I was waking up at 3 a.m. crying, just journaling, just saying, just staying in my bathroom, like writing, like, what do I do, right? So I got help. I went to an art therapist. I did the healing work that I needed to do. And then what came through that was, I want to show up bigger. Oh my gosh, I want to show up bigger. I want to have, make some impact, more than just my day job. So that's what came through to me. That was my download. And I was like, okay, then what do I do to get there? Right. And so the catalyst came where I had to like first even hire a coach. That was pretty huge for me. And I had to realize that I had certain things in place that weren't working for me. For example, I was a people pleaser. And I learned that through my art therapy sessions of I can't stop, I have to say no to people. I can't keep saying yes to people to make them happy, right? So if I wanted to do my business, then I need to make that my main focus. And if I want to do my art, I need to make that my main focus. And if I want to take care of myself so that I could show up in these areas, I need to make that the main focus, right? So what I found was that I had to like do extreme self-care. That was huge. So learning, even though I know the skills and the tools, practicing it is totally different, right? I need to practice these skills. So, do the inner work. And what I learned through, being in that dark night of the soul and getting myself out of that, I knew that like when I started like showing up and putting myself out there and started sharing my story of going through burnout and being able to get out of that, I actually I have a lot of clients that have experienced that same thing. Like they've gone, like they're in it. And they're not realizing that their own patterns are supporting that, right? So you got to like change your ways. And then when you do change your ways and you're able to do the healing work so you feel like you're in a stable spot, that's when you have that overflow, right? That's when you're like, oh my goodness, I have so much to give. This is where I can get organized to have my business, right? So a lot of the clients that I have, they do the inner work and then they're like, I want to have a business too. I want to be able to share my gifts with others. All right. So that's where I started with like online work. I started doing art therapy. And then I was like, wow, this is where I need to teach all these skills that I'm learning. And that's where I created that Thriving Business course so that I could teach other people how to do it. So that's kind of, it's been an evolution for me and a co-creation with my community of learning, like, what do they need and how do we move, keep moving forward. Right. So being able to show up for yourself and then show up for others is huge. Okay. And I even remember like right after like going through the art therapy experience of doing that and realized that I wanted to show up in a bigger way, which was showing up online, and how that's terrified me. Like I've been an artist all my life, but my first time posting on Facebook, I went and hid under the covers when I posted my art. I was like, oh my God, this is so scary. And I remember I would tremble, like coming up and like talking to people like online, right? It was like, oh my gosh, this is so scary. But it's through that action, that's when you gain confidence, right? So it's been a few years of me showing up consistently, of gaining my confidence and being able to share that with people. Okay. So what I want to do is I do want to show you a slide that has what art therapy is and then what an art coach is, and there's different titles for that, just so that like as we're moving forward and I'm talking about these different skills of like what you can use in your own business, I just want to make sure that there's clarity there. Okay, does that sound good for everybody? Yeah. Okay, because I think there's a lot of confusion. And it was interesting, someone with the questions that they had asked, they asked me, I live in Slovenia and nobody knows what art therapy is. How do I even start? Right. And so I felt the same way when I started out. I was like, nobody knows what art therapy is. And, where do I begin? So this is when I started my own community, Creative Soul Online Retreat. It's like, I just want to talk about my things that I'm interested in. Like I am interested in art therapy. I'm interested in chakras and energy healing, and inspirational quotes and things like that. And I want to share that with people. So that's kind of like where we start off. And that person of Slovenia, if you are here, I would love to know your name. I went on your Instagram. You don't have your name on there. So that is number one. Like I like to do like, I do reviews like of people's websites, of their profiles and stuff. It's like, she's like, don't know where to start, but you have to start with like putting yourself out there. You got to put your name on there. Okay. And I know that's kind of, it's part of this process. 20 years ago, when I went to school for art therapy, they would say, be a blank canvas. You know, you don't show your personal self. And I think that's what I had a block around, is that like when I was showing up to share my art, I was like, this is me. This is vulnerable. Like, this is like my soul that I'm sharing. Right. And this is where I feel very different now, because I am sharing, you know, about my life experiences as well. And then how does that resonate with people, and the human experience? And how does that resonate? And that's where also where I find my clients, because they can connect with me in that soul level. Okay. All right. So let me go ahead and share. Oh, let me pull it back up, and I'm going to talk to you. Okay. Gotta share the screen first. Let's see here. Share screen. Okay. So Odette had asked, she's like, how do I have, let me go back to present. She had asked, how do I have an art therapy thriving business? Do I have to be board certified or certain qualifications? So to run an art therapy business, which is a great question, because people don't know, right? So this is where I want to educate you all. To be an art therapist, you do need your master's degree. Okay, so it is credentialed. So it's either ATR, ATRBC. I'm speaking in the United States because that's where I live. Okay, and you have to have supervision, and you have contact hours, and you have a code of ethics that you follow, meaning that, you know, people are coming to you with really heavy issues. They've been sexually abused. They have traumas. They have been in domestic violence. They're going through a huge divorce. You know, it's heavy stuff that needs to be processed in a certain way. So there's different theoretical tools that we learn, and models that we learn in school, that we're able to address these mental health issues. Okay, so that we could support people. Okay, so if you're going to use this title, then you have to be trained in the field. You don't just put it on like your Instagram profile or saying I'm doing art therapy, because it would be really unethical. Okay. So art therapy has been around for a really long time, since like the 1950s, and but not a lot of people know about it. They don't know like where it started, you know, how to become one, and things like that. And it's starting to gain momentum, right? Which is awesome. Part of my mission is to get the word out, to let people know. That's why I've written books about it, right? So it teaches you tools for emotional regulation and how to process your art related to your life. And we are equipped to deal with those emotional traumas, the mental illness, and suicidal ideations, okay? Which is heavy stuff, right? So the art coach, creative coach, also known as life coach, healer, guide, or facilitator, these are also ways that you can have a business and share your gifts. Okay. So this is more about like your life experience and how to share your message. Okay. So it's picking who your ideal clients are and being able to work with them. So I'm going to give you examples of people that I've worked with. For example, Kristen, she actually did my year-long program, and she was an artist when she was younger. She is a recovering addict. So during the time when she was an addict, she wasn't making her art. She's getting back into her art, and she knows how healing it is for her, right? And so in our sessions, we had individual sessions. It came up of, wow, I'd love to help those who are in recovery, right? So she was actually, we created a program for her to go into the places that she already has connections with, people that she knows who are in recovery. And she started a program doing art groups, facilitating art groups that are healing in her world, in recovery. So these are like in-person groups. So that's how she's able to use her life experience and moving on to helping others. So is she doing art therapy? No, right? So I was just, you don't want to say that you're doing art therapy, because that is where you would want to refer someone, right? So if you are seeing someone that is going through a very hard time with their anxiety or depression or have suicidal ideation, you want to make sure they get the right support, right? but our making itself is beneficial. I have another client, Eleanor, is recovering from cancer. She deals with fibromyalgia, and she has been able to move her because her energy is very limited. So she has created from in-person to moving to online groups, right? So she's learned those skills in my program to be able to do that. Okay. And so a lot of times it's just learning, what is it that what's your story? Who do you want to work with? And then being able to put yourself out there, right? In a consistent way. So again, there's some things that actually stop people from doing this. And this is what I want to talk to you about. And most of the time, that's what stops you from showing up, is that you are scared to be seen. Do you guys feel that way at all? Or do you? Undercover Unicorn says yes. Alex says yes. Yeah. So I've been there. Like I told you, I went and hid under the covers that first time. The fear of people not understanding you, the fear of people not liking you. And what's important is to get really clear on your intention. Okay. I was so excited. Like when I started putting myself out there, I actually got contacted by this book publishing company and said, "Hey, we found you. Would you like to do this book with us?" And I was like, "Okay, sure." So it was like the Essential Art Therapy book, which is actually really popular. It's done really well. But the thing is, when I put it out there was a huge part of the art therapy community that was pissed off at me. They're like, you put something out there that that's not, people just think that you just take one of your exercises and that's therapy and you do it. And I understand that is like a misunderstanding, because art therapy is that therapeutic relationship that you have with someone and you're guiding them on this journey together, right? So there is a difference. And I'm like, I talked about this in the book, but you didn't read it. But the point is, my intention for even writing the book was to let people know about art therapy. And I look at it as like, this is a sample. This is a taster. Like you go into the ice cream store and you get a sample. This is a sample. And this is why it's important. And this is why you should go you get art therapy. Okay. And by writing that book, I have gotten a lot of clients from it because they got my book. They're, "Hey, and I want to work with you." Right. So I just want to let you know that there are going to be people who aren't going to like what you're doing, even with your best intentions, because I'm all about doing no harm. Right. But people are going to misunderstand you. And guess what? Those aren't your people. You still show up. You make your mission much bigger than your fear, because the fear is going to be there. Right. And when you start a business, all those fears come up. Right. And that's why it's important to get support, so that you can learn how to deal with it, how to look at it in another perspective, getting clear on like, what are those limiting beliefs, right? And even how, like, perfectionism, that's one of those killers too, especially when starting a business, right? So if you want everything to be perfect, and I remember having like a really big fear of failing, like I'm going to do something wrong. And I do things wrong all the time. I really do. I mess up. And what's come from doing this for a few years has been, my own self-compassion. I was like, just knowing that I am going to mess up, but how do I talk to myself around it? Right. So when you look at, like, when you're starting something new, especially putting yourself out there through messaging and, showing up and getting your site together and all these things, like your emails, it's not going to be perfect. It's going to be messy. Right. And that's okay. That's part of the process, right? It's like you look at a 2-year-old who is learning how to walk, or 1-year-old, sorry, learning how to walk. It's like, they don't just get up and walk. No, they're going to fall down. That's the process. You get better, right? So it's the same thing as like, as you're showing up. And then when you show up consistently, that's when your voice comes out. That's when you find your voice, because you're like, who am I talking to? What am I talking about? What's important to me, right? So this is why it's important to show up, and then your people will find you, right? So this is something, the strategies that I teach in the Thriving Creative course about creating your community and how to show up and connect with them. And another little story that I thought was really funny is, like, when after that dark night of the soul, I was like, I want to show up bigger. I want to like put my artwork in shows, right? I want to show people my artwork. And I did one of those outside fairs. And I had it was like one of the tents, and I had my stuff put up, and people would come in, and I wouldn't talk to them. I was just like, okay, they just come in, looking at my stuff. And my brother-in-law, who's in real estate, he's in commercial real estate, so he's a salesman. He's like, Leah, you have to go talk to these people. I'm like, what do I say? Like, that's terrifying. And he's like, the only way that people are going to like buy your work is if they know you, and they want to know you, and they want to like you and trust you, but you got to like get up and have a conversation and start a relationship with them. And I was like, oh, okay. So this is what this process is like showing up and building those relationships, especially online, that you can do this by being consistent, right? All right. So are you guys liking what I'm saying so far? If you have questions, I will be looking up here. True to be confident, very important starting in the field. Oh, Tanya says, I'm from Slovenia. Okay, Tanya, put your name in your Facebook profile because that's important. That's how people can know you, like you, trust you, right? This is where it's always good to have other eyes on what you're doing. So like review, what you have, like whether it's your site or getting into your programs or things like that. So it's having that other eyes of what that's like, right? A lot of times there's a fear and showing up and doing the work too. I remember when I first came online, this is like before COVID, and our therapist would scoff at me like, you're going to do work online, you can't do that. I called the credentialing board and I was like, is this okay if I do this? And they were like, yeah, good luck. I said, cool. But I was scared. I was like, how do I do this? How do you implement something I've been doing in person online? So I did some freebies. I would, work with people just to get my feelers out there. Like, how does this translate when I do work online? Is there a difference? But the energy is the same. So that's all that matters. Actually, I was thinking of this client that I just worked with. Her name's Rachel Duclos, and she's a soul collage facilitator. She's not an art therapist, but she's a soul collage facilitator, and she's only done them in person with small groups. And she's like, well, how do I facilitate online? So we did a session together, and she's like, oh, I can see how this translates. Okay, like, how do you do it with a group? So we were able to translate that information into a group format. So she's actually going to be presenting in the Creative Soul Society membership next month about soul collage, which I'm freaking excited about. I mean, that's awesome, right? That's how you grow. That's how you expand, by practicing, right? And then putting yourself out there to call in more people. That's how you gain that confidence. Okay, so my second thing that I would like to talk about is showing up consistently without overwhelm, right? I said you got to show up. But what happens, then that sounds really overwhelming. I'm showing up every day or doing this, right? So I always think of 15 minutes a day can make massive effect, like ripple effects, okay, no matter where you're at. And when I first started off, I really did have, like, I'm a fiery person anyway. I love doing stuff. I love having multiple projects. I'm that kind of person. That's my energy. But it was a very masculine energy, and it was very like go, 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 and thinking that I had to do like a million things, right? And I didn't like that. I didn't like that energy. And what I realized and learning by getting coaches and learning, it's like the self-care number one, right? Taking care of myself, taking time off, and doing the baby steps. And even 15 minutes a day on my business can make that ripple effects. 15 minutes on your email one day, maybe 15 minutes, making sure, like, reviewing my marketing plan. Maybe the next day's working with my assistant on something, right? So it's really about creating a structure that gives you flow. And we're all different, right? So we all have to figure out what that structure and flow is for you. For me, I got to have my morning routine. When I am able to be consistent and my meditation, my journaling, my working out, I feel like I can rock. Like, bring it on. If I don't take care of myself, I can't take care of anybody else. I definitely can't take care of my business, right? So what's interesting is like the more that I've grown in my business, the more structures I put in place that supports my flow. So I'm not in that real masculine, I got to go, do. It's more of how can I be open to receive and stay in my own zone of genius, right? And at first, I didn't know what my zone of genius was at all. I was like, what am I going to focus on? But I know that I love creating content. I love sharing my ideas and being in that space. Oh, thank you. Slevy says she has my book and is a great resource. Awesome. So how do I find my niche? It's a great question. So again, when I first started off showing up online, I didn't know what my niche was either. I mean, I knew that I wanted to provide art therapy services, but who did I want to work with, right? Well, I took all my little magical tools and things that I love and interested in, and that's what I showed up online about. And I would talk about spirituality, right? I talked about healing art, talk about chakras and things like that. And those are my clients that love the same things. And it's so exciting to work with them, right? So whether I'm working with them in my art therapy practice or whether I'm working with them in my thriving business course that I have, those are the people that resonate with me. Okay. So how do you find your niche? You show up. You show up consistently. Your voice will come out. Your interest will come out. The people who resonate with you will be there. At first, you might not be seen. I think that's where people get a little discouraged. And what happens is you're looking for outside validation. And that's that people pleaser. I was doing that the same thing. I'm like, why should I even make my art? Who cares? But then I realized that I make my art because it helps me, it heals me, it's important to me. And that's what matters. I'm filling my cup. So I don't need that outside validation from some other person. I validate myself. So this is all about self-worth, right? Our worthiness to show up. And I like my mindset around this of showing up is like, I'm just sharing my self-care practice. That's been a big game changer for me, that I'm not just showing up to like some marketing thing. No, I'm showing up because this is my practice. This is my journey, and I'm sharing my journey with you. And that makes me happy, right? Elaine also says, I worry about online presence and how it can be overwhelming to try to have content. Okay, so I do talk about this in the Thriving Creative course. Like we do actually have like a marketing plan that you can refer to, and there's certain apps and tools that you can use to keep you on track. But a lot of it is really getting clear about yourself, right? And what messages are coming through you. And that's why I love journaling. Journaling has been a part of finding my voice, getting in touch with myself. And that gives me inspiration for the day. I mean, some of my Instagram content, Facebook content come from that journaling. Oh, this came to mind. This came through. This was downloaded. And Alex asked me, do you write morning pages? Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's morning pages are really, really powerful. And it's part of my self-care routine, right? And that's what can get you into that flow. What do you mean by structures? Yeah. So there's only like so much time in a day. That's what, right? And one of my beliefs that I used to think was like, I don't have enough time to do things. And that would stop me. Like, how am I going to get this done? But I read this book called The Big Leap. I can't remember who the author is, but it was one of my coaches sent it to me, and I was like, oh, this is so cool. So what it was about was like, if you change your mindset around time, that you own it. Nobody knows what's going on in your head, right? So you get to own what's going to happen inside your head. You also get to own what's going to be like how you want to structure your time, your day. Like I have this little witchy book, which I love. It's not like a manifesting journal, but like I get so much done. I do online apps too that help me stay organized with my marketing, but I also use my journal to say, oh my gosh, I have 15 minutes here. How can I use it? Right? How can I, I have a family, I have kids, I have, I have a lot of obligations, but it's kind of like Jenga, but I am able to get things done. And I actually like that structure because it helps me stay focused in small amounts of what's important to me, because really your time is your most valuable, asset. Your attention is the most valuable asset. So when you can make time for it, that's what's important. I'm just reading your comments about the morning pages. Okay. I have severe ADHD and get paralyzed with time, so I think that might help. Yeah, definitely. Most definitely. Okay. Number 3, if we don't have any more questions around that, we're going to talk about money, because money seems to be huge, especially you guys feel like it's a huge thing. You're like, I want to make money, but I don't know how to get it. You're like, yeah. Yeah. So I find that, and I used to have the same thing. I used to have like the same fear around money, and this is why I wanted to talk about it in here. Is that like even my first coach, and it was like $500 that I invested in the coach, and I asked my husband for permission, and I was like, now that I look back at that, I was like, I don't need his validation, because his response was, if you feel like you need this, then you do it. And I was like, oh, well, I guess I could have said that to myself. And it was just part of that process of, okay, what do I need? And if I need support, then I do it. Right. And I'm so happy. I mean, I've had many different coaches, but what I learned with this first coach is that I had an issue with money and I had no idea. One of the things that she had me do, and I don't recommend this for anyone, is actually you rip up a dollar bill and you video record yourself, and what is your response to ripping it up? And I was so scared. I had so much anxiety about this. I made sure that this $1 came from my business account, not my personal account. And I just couldn't believe my response to it. And then I had listened to this recording. It was one of those interview conferences about, her name is Morgana Ray, and she does healing work around money. And she does these retreats. And she would say that, like, if you have a lot of anxiety around, like, charging prices for your services or your artwork or things like that, then it means you have a money monster. And I was like, I have a money monster? So where does a money monster come from? So the money monster actually comes from our past experiences with money. And it's not just like, what was your first experience with money? Because I don't know, if I needed $20 when I was little, I would just ask for it. And that didn't seem like a big deal. But there was a time where I had major trauma around money. I had a really bad experience where there was a divorce, there was moving. I mean, it was a really traumatic experience for me. And when I made that connection that money could be scary, that it could lead to bad things, I had fear, and I was carrying that energy with me. And it was just like the biggest aha. Like, I drew out my money monster. I mean, I just remember crying, just like making that connection. Like, that's why I'm so scared of money. That's why I can't put a number, And like the very next day, I sold like $1,000 painting, and it was just the universe gifting me, saying, do the work. If you want to do this business, you need to do the work. And I was like, I got your message. Let's do the work. Okay. So, like, how do we do the work? Right. And so, a part of this coach that I was at, she started like making me look at my budget, making me look at my finances, which I wasn't doing. And I was like, okay, how much am I coming in? How much is going out? Where are my money leaks? And at that time, my kids were a little, and I realized I was like paying for, what was it? Cable at the time. And I was like, oh, we don't even use cable. Why am I paying for this? And I was like, oh my God, I could hire a housekeeper the same amount of money and I would have time to work on my business. So that's what I did. So I was like, I was starting to see like, oh, wow, I can move things around. I actually have control. It's not controlling me. And so part of that is being able to get really intimate with your finances and heal that relationship, right? Because you have to put prices on your work, right? And if you want to make more money, you should have higher prices, right? You can have different scales. You can have a small price, then you have a medium price, and you have a bigger price. But if you want to like be able to be open to receive that higher end package or work with someone at a higher end, you have to be able to be open for it, right? So what I did was I started learning how to play with money, right? So I needed to get in touch with my money honey. That was the whole point of this, right? So what I did was I had watched some like YouTube video about like how do you make $1,000? And there was this guy talking about like go into your closet and put everything that you don't want on eBay. And I was like, okay. So I started doing that, and I had a lot of crap. I had this like old camera that I didn't want. I had like old jewelry that I didn't want. And I was able to make $1,000 within a month. And I had so much fun. It became addicting. I was like, oh my gosh, I can actually sell things and this is fun. That's when it started translating more into my services, into my artwork. Okay. And the other little story that I want to like tell with you about like how to make it fun is this is from Esther Hicks' book. And there's like this checkbook experience where you get an old checkbook and you give yourself $1,000 a day. You write yourself like you don't necessarily write it to yourself. You write it to like what you would buy if you had $1,000. So the first day is 1,000. The second day is 2,000. Third day is 3,000. So every time it's going somewhere. So you're like learning how to deal with bigger numbers, right? Bringing on what would I buy, right? I did it for like 2 months. Got up to like 60,000. And I actually want to do this again because this is fun, like playing with bigger numbers. But the craziest thing is that when I started making money in my business, which was amazing, I started remodeling inside of my house. And the guy that did it, he didn't take credit cards or anything, but he takes checks. And I wrote this huge check to this one person. And I was like, holy macanoli. I manifested it because I wanted to remodel my kitchen and my bathrooms and the floors. And I'm literally writing this check. So I'm just letting you know, it's part of like when you can play it like a game, when your energy shifts around money, it's easier to bring in more money. Okay. Ashley says she just got that book at the cafe yesterday. Take one, leave one at a bookshop. Well, that's an excellent book. Alex says, I do the same thing. Another issue I had and starting to work through is that I feel like a fraud or fake artist. So that's that imposter syndrome. You feel like you're not good enough, right? And that's all about your worthiness, right? And being able to know your worth is incredibly important because your artwork is worth something, your services are worth something, and it's an energy exchange. Okay. If you don't put a price tag on it, you don't have a business because it's not going to be able to go anywhere. So with imposter syndrome, again, it's going back to looking at your limiting beliefs, going back to those old stories. This is what I do in like when people who do my year program, because you have 14 individual sessions, we go back to those old stories. What stuck with you as a child that is stealing from you now, right? Because what happens is our subconscious mind is our ruler, right? And we're not aware. Subconscious, like you're not aware of like how it's ruling you. So you make decisions from it. But when you start to make those connections, you have those ahas. Like I was talking about like my own money story. I was like, oh my God, I made the connection. Aha. I need a new relationship with money. I need to love money, right? It's just a tool. And so looking at these past stories, right? And seeing how they affect you. There's research about this where it's like one negative comment that is stuck with you as a child that like someone said, you're fat, you're ugly, you're stupid, your art sucks, one little comment like that. And if it does stick with you, gets in that subconscious mind, it takes like 15 positive comments to counteract that. Okay. So a lot of the times we have to do the work ourselves. Now we have to say, where is this coming from? And then how am I going to retrain my mind, right? That's why I love mantras. I really do. I mean, I had the mantra, when I wasn't feeling like my art was important, I'm like, why the hell am I doing this? I put that mantra, my artwork is powerful, it's healing, it's important in the world. Now I totally believe it because I had that mantra on my phone, when it came up every day and I would read it, I'm like, yes, that's true, right? What I wanted to make $100,000, put that in there. So my services are high value and I can make $100,000. I did that, and now it's like, it's a bigger number. Like, I want to be a millionaire. Why not? Right? It's all about your beliefs, right? So if you're not believing in yourself, you have doubt in yourself, people are going to doubt you. Why would they invest in you? Right? So that's where you have to do the inner work. That's where you got to do the healing so that you can show up. Okay. I hope you guys are seeing this connection. Okay. It's important to do the work because when you do the work, you will be gifted. I promise you. That's just how it works. Okay. So do you like this content so far? Are you guys enjoying this? Okay. I'm going to see if there's any more questions. Let's see here. Oh, so Odette says, so you imagine spending the checks every day or literally spend it? No, it's a fake checkbook. And you are writing down that you get, right? Day one, $1,000. Okay, I get $1,000. Who would I want to write this check to? It's imaginary, right? Well, I'm going to give this one to this nonprofit organization. Day two, you get $2,000. Oh my goodness. What do I want to do that? Hey, I want to buy tickets to Spain. Okay, I'm writing that out to American Airlines. Okay. Day three, so it's literally, and it just builds every day. It's a really fun way to expand your consciousness around money and energy and really to dream big, to see what you want. Ashley says you can also write down the amount you receive and then what you spend the money on in a notebook every day, increase it by 1,000. Okay, that sounds good. The art competition that I lost sticks with me so much more than all the ones I won. Yeah. So just doing that undercover work of, why is that one sticking with you? And a lot of times, we're looking for that outside validation. And when we don't get it, we think that we are not good at something and not everything is going to work out. That's what I was talking about. Like, your business is not like this one-time thing. It's a long-term. If you're going to do this at least 10 years in mind, if not 20, 30 years. It's not just, I'm going to just do this one time. And that's what I teach in my course is that, it's like part of showing up. You got to be consistent, right? And when you do launches, you got to consistently launch, not just do one time. Oh, here I am. No, it's here I am consistently. And that's where I think people get discouraged. They just show up one time and it doesn't go exactly how they planned. So they quit showing up. But when you consistently show up, then people start to take you serious. It's like, hey, what is she talking about? Do I need to lean in? A lot of my clients, they've wanted to work with me a long time ago, but just the timing wasn't right. And then they come back next time that I show up and say, hey, I have this opportunity. Do you want to be a part of it? And they show up. They're like, I'm ready now. Right. So that's why it's important to be online in their emails of showing up so that you're in the forefront of their mind when they need you. They're like, oh, wait, she's doing this. I want to be a part of it. Right. And so that's why you want to create those frameworks so that you are consistent and it feels good and it's fun. Right. Okay. Ashley writes, did you ever work on strengthening your connection with or natural fulfillment through digital work? I sometimes struggle with drive in regards to my digital content. I'm not understanding your question with the digital work. Okay, maybe you can ask that again because I don't understand the question. Oh, Ashley asked, are you still doing art therapy or working as a creative coach now? I do both. Yeah. So sometimes people need art therapy services and I provide them, right? I have packages that have a commitment that they make and we work together. We work on their goals. And then the creative coaching, I have packages, I have a program, and I coach people. And sometimes the art therapy comes up because they need healing work. A lot of the work when you come into a business, you got to do healing work in order to get rid of those limiting beliefs, get rid of those blocks so that you can show up confidently so that you can get over those little monsters and just be authentic and be yourself. And I do the coaching, not that I'm like teaching you to be like me. No, I want you to be you. Like, I want you to have your magic. I want you to share your message, right? Okay. Okay, and it says social media content works, but courses are opposed to in person. I do all of them. I do in person. I do when opportunities show up. Um, I do books. I do courses. I like having multiple income streams. I love working on projects. That matches my energy, right? So it's about knowing yourself and listening to like, what is your desire? I mean, I've worked with clients that they wanted to have a podcast. I don't have an interest in podcasting at all, but they did, right? And that's what they did. And then I have other clients that they just wanted to leave their 9 to 5 and do writing, right? And being a writing coach. And they had to do the healing work so that they could show up to get the clients to the writing coach. And they had a niche that they can market to. So I supported them with creating that, right? Creating that space and the healing space so that they could show up. One mantra I've been telling myself is I don't chase, I attract, to help me build structure and be consistent. Yeah, that's good. Your energy is so important. Okay, so I want to go ahead. Do you guys want to know a little bit more? Like, are you interested in learning more about like next steps and how this works? Okay. Because I want to be cognizant of the time. It's already 12:50, and I have a lot of information to talk about this. And obviously I can't put it all in 1 hour. So I do have a Thriving Creative course that is coming up. It's an 8-week course. And I wanted to tell you all about it and how it could work as like an art therapist. Like if you're wanting to like make more money in your private practice and like have programs and packages, and or if you are wanting your supervision hours, I can help in that way. Or if you are a creative coach, then what does that look like? And who is your niche? So I've worked with people who are just starting off, they have no idea who their niche is. And like Kristen, and I've been able to help her create programs, and she found their niche and she was able to make her money back by doing like starting of just like doing a program and getting paid for it, right? So it's all different levels. Oh, hey, Nicole, she wants to do creative coaching. Awesome. Alice says, with your art therapy packages, are you working more directly with clients with the goals? Or are you able to non-directive with this? Are the packages sessions number based? Okay, so this is the beauty of art therapy, is that you're working with the client's needs. So it's different for everybody. Everyone has different needs. Everyone has different life experiences. So when I first started off, I started with one-offs, and I didn't like that, because what I noticed is that most of the clients that I had, they have avoidance issues. They don't want to do the work, right? So they would cancel session or schedule it for another 2 weeks. I was like, no, it doesn't work that way. If we're going to be in a relationship together, you got to show up. And when people invest money, they show up, right? And so that's another way to look about it, of why your time is worthy and why money is important, because it holds people accountable. And I do have people show up. They're never late. They show up, and I love it. And we can do the work, right? And I don't know, for 14 has been a magic number for me, of like being able to see where they're starting off to getting those goals. It feels good, right? Okay, so I'm going to share with you, I know I've been talking a lot. I'm going to share with you my screen again. Let me open it up. Oh. Okay. I have to do it on present mode. Okay. So we talked about that. Okay, we talked about finding your ideal clients, and your message comes up. We talked about being seen as a leader. We've talked about how to show up without overwhelm, creating your new vision, your new reality, right? You could leave here today and be like, okay, I learned enough, but how do you implement it, right? How are you going to take these tools and actually make money, right? That's what the money mentality, we talked about that, of getting clear about the numbers that we want, right? So when I first wanted to make that 100,000, I didn't know how to. And then I figured out, oh, this is how you make it, right? So I learned the frameworks and the structure. Now I want to make 1,000,000. How do I get there? Now I know the structure. And I only done this because I'm doing the work for myself. Like I literally go to trainings and coaching because it's powerful. So here are some clients that I've worked with. This is Ellie, and I talked about her. She started a wellness warrior group, and she has fibromyalgia and is a cancer survivor. So she's not an art therapist, but she knows the healing power of art and doing self-care. So she was doing in-person workshops that were a lot of energy. And so now she's moving online. So teaching her the structure of how to do a membership, how to be effective. This is Becca. Becca as well. She does a lot of creative goddess healing and is working online and in person with her groups. This is Jen Colombo. Jen is really cool. She did my year-long program, and she is a content creator. A product creator. So she creates oracle decks and journals for coaches, for people who have businesses. So, and she started her creative Explorers Club membership, which is really, really cool. So as you see, I want you to grow. Like I feel like art is our superpower and we need to be more expansive, right? So that was Jen. This is Courtney Chandler. She is an art therapist, and she already had a thriving practice, but she wanted to move her in person to online, and she wanted to have higher end packages. So I supported her with creating programs because she does yoga, she does all types of different like EMDR art therapy, she does all kinds of stuff, really cool stuff. So she was able to package it so that she can get paid at a higher price, right? And do work online because now she's a mommy. This is Kristen, who I talked about in recovery and now offering groups. So she's on the left. This is my dear friend Liz, who has also done the year-long program, and she is an art therapist, and she just really wanted support in creating a program and learning those skills of bringing her work online. Laura, so she's done clinical work. She helps people that have sex addicts. And so she wanted to move from clinical work to non-clinical work in art therapy, meaning that she has a spiritual practice, she does yoga, she does all types of meditations. So creating her business to be based on that. So moving her through that. Same with Heather, she's an expressive art therapist, and moving her work to, she actually just wanted to do workshops in her area of how to hold groups and be beneficial. She's presented in the Creative Soul Society, which is awesome. So more clients. Natty Love wanted the podcast, which is awesome, called Ask Natty Love. It's all about self-development and personal growth. And then this is Alexis Avinara. She's a writing coach and moving from her day job to her writing coaching business. All right. So I am letting you know, I do have a year-long program. It's called The Art of Healing and Manifesting. What's beautiful about this is that you get the individual support. So if you do have those limiting beliefs, if you need to do the healing work, I'm here for you. What's also beautiful about it is that you get the Thriving Creative course. And the Thriving Creative course is our business group. This is where we meet for 8 weeks. We're actually going to be opening this up in October. Very excited about this. And I'm going to show you the skills and the tactics of how to get clear with the numbers. We're going to do a lot of money mentality. We're going to do a lot of psychology of sales and showing you how to get clear with your numbers and how to bring people in to meet your goals. Okay. And this is the Thriving Creative course that I was just talking about. And this is the coaching. So it's talking to you about, you can use your sessions for coaching, which is more the business aspect, to getting really clear about your framework and how you would create a program. How do you create your memberships, the content, how's it beneficial, those type of things. And again, it could be used for art therapy services too. All right, so part of this program includes the bonuses such as social media marketing, how to overcome imposter syndrome, how to tackle procrastination, some lesson plans for those of you who want content. I'm like, what do I show up and do? Like with Kristen, we created a whole lesson plan of what she can do in the art and recovery groups. And where to find client resource guide. So I have that listed on the back end as well. And your email layouts of how to show up consistently and, planting those seeds in different places. So this is for, like I mentioned, I work with other art facilitators. I work with art therapists. It's really bridging that gap of taking all the tools that you have and then showing up, right? And making money doing that, right? So getting clear on your offers and practicing them, right? It only happens if you take action, aligned action, which is important. So I'm going to go over the numbers because I told you numbers are really, really, really important. Part of the program, I like to put it all together in a nice little bundle with a bow, meaning that I know you need self-care, right? So I have a Creative Soul Society. The reason I created the Creative Soul Society is because I needed a self-care practice. So meeting in community and my membership group is nourishing for me, and it's nourishing for those who show up, right? So you get to be a part of that for a year. If you did the year-long program, you get to practice the Thriving Creative course, be a part of it for 3 rounds, meaning that you get to learn the skills, you go out and do it, you come back and review what you've done and refine it. Because it's not about just showing up one time and letting people know what you do. It's a process, right? I created the 21-day healing art journal, and you get the book and deck. Oh my gosh, the lawn people just came, so I'm really sorry to be super loud. It's like blowing right at my door. Okay, if you were to add up all of this, the magic number here, can you imagine, is $10,000, $10,500. But I put it at 4,400, right? And so it's $367 a month. So like I mentioned before, if you do the work, you implement the strategies, you make your money back. So other people have done that, a part of showing up, right? Hold on a second. So when we look at that, it's like, what would you pay to go to school, right? To go get your master's in, I don't know, whether it be art therapy, whether it be in business school, what would you pay, right? It's actually a pretty penny, right? We take out loans to go get our master's and things like that. I love investing in my education. That's what I'm saying. Like, I love taking courses and learning how to run my business and how to expand, right? And I want to share that with you so that you don't have to go take a whole bunch of courses, that I am literally going to be able to give you everything that I'm learning. I have a 4-day training going to Funnel Hackers Live, and it's Stu McLaren is going to be like doing the trainings about how to multiply your membership groups, right? So I want to learn those skills, right? And then implement them, right? So how much would you pay to follow through with your goals, right? And doing it alone, they only get you so far, right? So we can learn the skills from other people. So what I've done is for today, and actually for this week, I've opened up, I call it the citrine package. So basically it's like a little component where it's going to include the Thriving Creative course so that you can have one time. So if this is leaning in, like if you like my style of talking to you and my style of teaching, if you've been following me for a while, then this is an opportunity. If you didn't want to do the full year, you're welcome to do the full year. The full year is available anytime. But the citrine package that I'm including today is only available this week, okay? And because we're going to be starting in October, right? First week of October, October 6th, we're going to be meeting in community and group and learning the techniques, okay? So the Thriving Creative course, you get one time. You get the Creative Soul Society for the year. I'll give you the Healing Art Journal package and my book and my deck. And if you pay in full, it's $2,200, okay? Or you could pay $220 each month for 10 months. Okay? Because you're here today, which I'm really grateful that you're all here today. So this doesn't include, like if you say you wanted to do the So like, hey, I want to do this one-time round. Let me get a feel of what she's teaching. What I want to learn more. It doesn't include these individual sessions, right? So if you pay in full, you're going to get 2 coaching, right? So, but since you're here today, and if this is resonating with you, I will give you 2 sessions if you want to do the payment plan. And if you want to do a pay in full, I'll give you 4 individual coaching. So it's like a special bonus just for today. Okay. So I'm just letting you know that there is an opportunity to work with me, and it's fun. I promise you, having your business is fun. This guy really likes me because he keeps coming back to my door. It's like magnetizing the lightness. Okay. So you have 2 choices. Either you take this information that I've told you right now and you're like, okay, I've had it. I want to do this on my own. Or you could say, hey, I'm interested. What does this look like for me, right? So I just want to give you one more visual so you can kind of see it all together. What's the difference between that full year package and that citrine, which I'm doing right now? You get 3 rounds of this course, right? The business course. You get the membership, you get the books and the decks, and you get the bonuses. There is a payment plan. You could do 367, which again, we could do the math and you could be running groups and have it paid off. And remember, you're not just doing this for 1 year. You're doing this for long term, right? And the pay in full is 4,400, and you get those 14 individual sessions, which you can do the healing work or the coaching work, wherever you're at. For the citrine package, you get the 1 round of the Thriving Creative course. We're starting October 6th. And you get the full membership, you get the bonuses, and then there's either the payment plan for 10 months, 220, or you can pay in full for 2,200. So I have the bonuses here. I'm going to be sending out the emails tomorrow with the replay. And like I said, the extra bonus of, if you want to do the payment plan today is not going to be in that. Okay. So I just kind of wanted to give you that overview. So I'm going to stop share just so that I see if anyone has questions. I love how part of your process is creating a community. Yeah, because we learn from each other, and that's what's beautiful. I have the Creative Soul Online Retreat group, which has like 3,000 people, and people can post their art, and they're part of the Creative Soul Society, and like we see each other, right? Which is important. Like we get to know each other and their art styles and stuff. It's self-care. But the Thriving Creative course also has a community where, say, like your MailChimp, like you don't know how to do MailChimp, and that's the platform you want to use. And you need help with it, there's other people on there that use MailChimp and they can show you how to do it, right? So this is how like we work together in community. Like you have that, like a private Facebook group where you can work together, and then you'll find other people who are in the same place as you that you can level up with, right? And also membership groups are great because it's like sustainability. It's also how you can make consistent income. So the citrine package is going to be on Sunday, next Sunday, not tomorrow, this day's Saturday, but next Sunday I'm not going to have the citrine package up anymore. It's just going to be the full year that you can join us. But we are going to be starting up October 6th, which what I've done is I have 2 groups that have the same content. So Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern is one group. And last round that I did, I had someone from Australia, I had someone from Abu Dhabi, which is like in Dubai. So the timing is different. So what I did was I have a Saturday morning group at 10 a.m., same content. So whichever one, and it keeps the group smaller too, so that you can have that individualized attention. This part of it is teaching, and the other part is that co-creation, collaborating, and having an opportunity to talk. So you would sign up by at least by next Sunday, because that's when I'm taking the Thriving Creative course. Actually, you know what? I will share with you what it looks like on my site. Let me escape out of here so that you can kind of see for yourself, so you can come back and look at it. Here, I'll share with you. Share screen. Okay. So this is my site. It's leahguzmanstudio.com. And so I have the manifesting business program year long, which I had mentioned. And this is, I just put this up today because I'm keeping it up for a week because we're going to be starting in just a little bit. The citrine package. So if you scroll through here, you're going to read about the benefits, what you're going to get out of it. We're going to do a lot of money healing this session. So I just want to let you know, I'm really excited about that leveling up. If you click to sign up now, there's different buttons on here that you can sign up. Again, I support you with how to set up your site, how to set up your memberships, all that kind of good stuff. So signing up is, the first one is the business program, the year long. Okay. Then this Creative Soul Society membership, you come down here, and then this is the Thriving Creative course. This is that citrine package that I was talking about. So you could pay in full, and then the payment plan of $220. And again, if the date that if you pay today, I will give you those extra bonuses of those 2 extra individual sessions, which I think are incredibly important. I love individual sessions. Personally, I think coaching is really, really powerful. Okay, so that's how you would sign up. And I'm going to come back so I can read your comments or questions if you have questions. Oh, Alex, did you started following me last week? Well, welcome. Welcome to my world. Yay, Alex. Very cool. You actually look really familiar to me, so it's kind of feel like I know you. You look like someone I know. That's cool. We are meeting tomorrow in the Creative Soul Society. We are doing the heart chakra animal symbols, which is fun. So the citrine package runs for 8 weeks. Yeah. So thank you, Jess, for the question. So the citrine package is that 1 round of the business component, which is the Thriving Creative course, which starts in October and it goes through November. We meet once a week. You just show up for 1 session, either be that Friday or that Saturday. On the back end of the site, I have a lot of business goodies like I talked to you about. There's a lot of bonuses. It has like 100 ideas of Instagram posts. I have resources where you can find clients. I have, I'm going to add some things about when you have, like if you want to do like higher end packages, like that's $4,000, $5,000, $10,000. If you want to like have higher, like what does a sales call look like, right? So I'm going to have information like that about how you can do it, and then you'll have support in the group to actually practice it too. So the citrine package runs for 8 weeks. If you do the year program, you're going to have multiple opportunities to practice, come back and do it. Oh, Alex says it's the hair. Do you get that a lot, that people know you? Like, I know you. No, you don't get that a lot. Oh, cool. Undercover unicorns. So they can't wait for tomorrow, my first time in the group. Oh, beautiful. Yeah. So if you're a Creative Soul Society member, we're going to meet tomorrow at 12 for our art gathering. So beautiful. Oh, the redhead connection. I got it. Very cool. So if you miss a session, do you catch up online? Yeah, everything is recorded and you can always go back and watch the recording of either the Friday or the Saturday. And it's so interesting because a lot of people struggle with the same things, right? And so they're able to help each other with getting through it. So it's really important. All right. Well, I'm so happy that you guys showed up today. Thank you for being with me. And I am holding space for you. We're going to be meeting again, and I want to support you to use your art as your superpower and to make money. It is an investment, but it's an investment into your future, and that's how it multiplies, right? Okay, sending you lots of love, and I will see you hopefully soon, hopefully in the group. Okay, bye.